Welcome to the clinical cookout. Cookout.
What is schizophrenia? Schizophrenia is a chronic brain disorder. When it's active, symptoms can include disorganized speech, trouble with thinking, lack of motivation, delusions, and hallucinations. The word schizophrenia comes from Greek origins, with schizo meaning split and phreni meaning mind. Schizophrenia is different from dissociative identity disorder, previously known as split personality disorder, which is a common misconception. There is no cure for schizophrenia, but research is leading to safer and innovative treatments. The major types of schizophrenia include paranoid schizophrenia, catatonic schizophrenia, undifferentiated schizophrenia, and schizoaffective disorder. Schizophrenia is often diagnosed in young people during their late teens to early 30s, with symptoms commonly presenting earlier in males than females. Research has not identified one single cause of schizophrenia. It is thought that it's an interaction between genes and a range of environmental factors that cause the disorder. Psychosocial factors may also affect the onset and course of schizophrenia. Heavy use of cannabis is associated with an elevated risk of the disorder. Scientists have found that certain chemical imbalances in the brain, genetic traits, and environmental factors such as early life stress are risk factors for schizophrenia. Schizophrenia affects approximately 24 million people, or 1 in 300 people, worldwide. This rate is 1 in 222 people among adults. Across studies that use household-based survey samples, clinical diagnostic interviews, and medical records, estimates of the prevalence of schizophrenia and related psychotic disorders in the U.S. range between 0.25% and 0.64%. Individuals with schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders may be undercounted in prevalence estimation studies. These individuals may be underrepresented in household surveys because they may reside in prisons, other institutions, or may lack a permanent address. Similarly, some people with schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders may not be fully reflected in medical records data because they may not have a documented diagnosis and or may receive little or no health care. Schizophrenia affects 20 million people worldwide. The lifetime prevalence of self-reported psychotic symptoms is highest in Black Americans, 21.1%, Latino Americans, 19.9%, and White Americans, 13.1%. The lifetime prevalence of self-reported psychotic symptoms is lowest in Asian Americans, 5.4%. Research has found that Black Americans are 3 to 4 times more likely than white Americans to receive a schizophrenia diagnosis. People with schizophrenia are 2 to 3 times more likely to die early than the general population. An estimated 4.9% of people with schizophrenia die by suicide, a rate that is far greater than the general population, with the highest risk in the early stages of the illness. Patients diagnosed with schizophrenia are 4 to 6 times more likely to commit a violent crime than the general population. 6% of homicide acts are committed by schizophrenic patients in Western countries. The rate of violent offense among patients with schizophrenia and related disease was nearly 5 times higher than among their siblings and almost 7 times higher than matched individuals in the general population. Approximately half of individuals with schizophrenia have co-occurring mental and or behavioral health disorders. Schizophrenia is one of the top 15 leading causes of disability worldwide. Approximately 50% of people in mental hospitals have a schizophrenia diagnosis. Only 31.3% of people with psychosis receive specialist mental health care. Most resources for mental health services are inefficiently spent on care within mental hospitals. Almost every individual who is diagnosed with schizophrenia will require medication treatment, usually with an antipsychotic medication. Atypical antipsychotics can manage symptoms of schizophrenia such as hallucinations and delusions. Currently, clozapine is the most effective antipsychotic in terms of managing treatment-resistant schizophrenia. Cognitive behavioral therapy with a mental health professional is the most effective in treating schizophrenic patients because it teaches a patient how to manage their thoughts and behaviors as well as identify triggers for a psychotic episode. Early intervention can have a significant impact on people with schizophrenia. Because schizophrenia may be genetic, people with family members who have schizophrenia or a history of psychotic symptoms may seek mental health services to detect schizophrenia and begin treatment as early as possible. Schizophrenia symptoms are often worse in the early stages of the illness, which is also when the risk of suicide is highest. The majority of people with schizophrenia get better over time, not worse. In fact, 20% of people will get better within 5 years of developing symptoms. At least 1/3 of people with schizophrenia experiences complete remission of symptoms. Around 20% of individuals with schizophrenia will get the treatment they need to mitigate the most severe symptoms, allowing them to carry out their daily activities in an ordinary fashion. Less than 10% of those diagnosed can make a recovery in full. Doctors and psychologists have yet to understand the best way to mitigate risk factors for schizophrenia. The 20% of people that recover and the 80% that don't is difficult to predict. Although schizophrenia is commonly perceived as a very scary diagnosis, with early intervention and proper care, it can be helped.